Welcome to AI for Muggles. I'm Ben, I'm the founder of Pirate Skills, and today I attempt to make the most beginner-friendly introduction to what is now called vibe coding. We will build together a website for yourself, and I'll show you everything step by step, but I'm going to be a bit tricky. First, I'm going to show you a very simple variant, and then I'm going to show you how I think you should do it. So I'm going to take you by the hand. I hope I explain everything I'm doing correctly, and let's get into it. This is called AI for Muggles because learning and becoming able to use AI for yourself in your everyday work feels like finally getting the letter from Hogwarts, realizing you're not a Muggle and you get to go and get a wand. Turns out that there is still a lot of studying to do, and I try to make that studying journey for you as simple as possible today. You may have been a little bit on the fence and ask yourself, hey, what's the big deal with this AI stuff anyways? How does it really affect my life? What does it mean for me? And I could describe it to you, but at some point you will need to experience that magic for yourself. For me, it was when I set myself a challenge to build a first little app for myself, and I looked at the website it generated while I was just talking, voice to text, rambling my thoughts into this AI chat. And on the other side came out a website that was better than my current one. By that time, I was already over 10 years experience with WordPress, had at least a dozen pages before that, but nothing was at the level what I saw in terms of convenience and an ability to interact with it. And that was the moment when I killed my WordPress site, decided everything on pirateskills.com, everything that you see right here, including this article, is going to be vibe coded. And I never looked back, and I'm so happy I did. And I need you to get this experience as visceral as possible. And I've created this magic button here that you can just click, and we will do this together. Yeah. And it will build a website for you in front of your eyes. So let's just do it. This click leads us to this website called V0. It often asks you to sign up, but if you don't want to, you can just click and you don't even have to sign up. Now you see a chat box here, and it has already a prompt in there. My dream single-page website for the salty wand, a pirate-themed wizarding shop in my own design aesthetic with my own colors that we have at Pirate Skills. You can put in whatever you like, but you can just click this button and it will start creating this website in front of your eyes. There are a lot of other templates and things that you can build, but this is a very good first experience. This can take around 5 minutes. Let's go. Here you can see it starting to think about what was just said in this prompt. What do those colors mean? What should we even build? A website, a little to-do app, a calculator. It could do all of these things, but I believe for good reasons, which I will explain, that a website is an excellent place to start learning to get into the AI game. So now you see on the right-hand side like a canvas where it later will show the entire website. And on the left-hand side, you can actually watch it code. It's now generating the images that go into the store. That is one of the great features of these simple tools like V0, Base44, Lovable, who are all a great start to get this first taste of this magic. And now it's writing the code without you ever seeing it. The global CSS, for example, shows how the styling of the website should look like. And then it's going to write all of the different sections of the website, like a hero section and then a little shop section. And you can interact with it just by adding more text here in the lower left. So once it's finished and it's working, you can just speak to it and it will change everything that you don't like about the website to your liking. And that is a very important moment. I will now just wait for this to finish, probably skip 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll come back and look at the finished website, or maybe into the bug it runs to. Let's see in a second. Right now, it's building the different components. You can imagine modern web design to be a little bit like Lego blocks that are being stacked on top of each other. You can see the navigation bar that you typically have here on a website like Pirate Skills at the top. Then you can see now that it's doing the hero. This is usually the first section on a website that a user can see, what we often call what is above the fold before you need to scroll down. And here it's doing the product grid. And later it's going to assemble those components into an entire website and extending everything that you like. And later you can use these components again. Let's say you like the product grid, want to put it on another part of your website. It will just reuse that. And any change that is being done on one side of the website is also directly showing on the other side, which is fantastic, saves a lot of time, and is very good practice. Here it's now creating another element called the About section and the Contact section. So people can potentially like send a contact form from that shop. And at the end, a little footer section, so where we could maybe later add some legal pages like the imprint or a privacy policy, which you can, with care, also vibe code. All right, let's wait for it to finish again. Okay, here is the next part. Now it's putting those Lego blocks into one construction and making sure everything is assembled. At this point, it's going to check if it made any errors. You can see that it took 5 minutes and 31 seconds. And here we go. We didn't even have a bug. We see our website. This is the hero section that you can see, telling us where dark seas meet darker sorcery. And we can browse the wares, scroll down. Here we can see the AI-generated images that we can acquire. All pretty nice. The font was well chosen, I think. But if I didn't like any of that stuff, I could just talk to it here. And it would change. Let's, for example, do a change from red to blue. Hey, why don't you change all of the red accent to a nice sorcery blue? So I used a voice-to-text tool called Whisperflow, or you can just type into it. I've gotten so used to speaking aloud, which is very helpful, expressing myself longer. I can ramble a bit more, and it just feels faster to me. And it's now picking a deep sorcery blue for me. And it's now reformatting the entire page at my behest. And this allows you to get an idea of what you could build for your own website. And then on the fly, keep on communicating, like, what would you like to have different? What would you want to change? And it doesn't even have to be about the design. It can be about the way this is written. Maybe you want to tone down the pirate level here a little bit. And you can see that it's updating the individual component, replacing the red with a blue until it's finished. And then we get to see it when it's finished. And it might even produce a mistake here. And you see just an error message. That's also pretty nice here in a tool like this. Then it just has like a fix button for you. It recognizes there is an error on the page, and you can just click it and it solves itself. Maybe when you do this for the first time, with the same prompt that I used, you run into a problem that I didn't run into now. This is just one of the things with AI. Yeah, we call it that it is non-deterministic, which essentially means we both can use the same prompt, but we get two slightly different results. And that is something we often learn to manage around. All right, now we can see that almost everything here that was before red is now in blue, and you can say about this what you want. You can say like, oh, but there's still a glow behind the call to action buttons here that is still red. Correct all of that and just make it the way you would like it. Isn't that cool? I love how magical this feels. But let's go back to the Captain's Insights article. Now, below this magic button, you can see the prompt that you can just copy here and put it into your favorite tool. You could probably even ask ChatGPT or Claude to build this website for you in those programs. But what do you do then with it? Well, I provided some alternatives here. Lovable, Base 44, and what I showed you before, V0 are all great tools that enable this very intuitive way to build a website with AI. And you might be asking, like, why even a website? So for me, it turns out that a website is keeping like the level of craziness you can do with AI to a certain very base line. You usually just do images and text in a beautiful layout. You don't do any fancy calculations. You don't need a database yet often. You do not require users to log in or pay anything yet. Yeah, so the website is a good example what you can do, and it's something that everyone needs and never has the time for doing properly. So we are all at any given time and point not happy with our current state of our website. And learning this and just doing this on the side, having an alternative version, is how I got so hooked into this journey. And it also doesn't go too deep. Yeah, I will cover that at the end, how you can continue from here. I think it's going to teach you a lot. And from there, you can really start exploring how far this rabbit hole truly goes. Let's continue. Let me show you one example on how I build a hackathon website on pirateskills.com that normally would have easily taken me like 2 weeks of planning, collecting the content, making sure I have the photos, writing the copy, designing everything, maybe having a back and forth with a designer. And it just took 2 hours. Here's the website. You can just click here and open it. And there you can see this is a vibe coding hackathon. I'm already logged in and I've paid for it. But here you can imagine that there would be a normal call to action that asks people to join. Here's this nice flowing marquee, giving people incentives like real skills, good pizza, working demos. And then this beautiful image gallery with this zoom effect showing everyone who was there at the first hackathon. And a good section on who this is for, how the schedule is going to look like over the weekend, and where it's going to take place in Cologne. And then a final call to action with a price, and here people can start the Stripe checkout, and there's a big Q&A section. All of this done in 1 hour. That feels pretty strong to me. So I had a bit of an advantage. We already had from the first hackathon a landing page from Startplatz that I could just point the AI to and say, like, could you please read this content and just take the essential information, like the program, the timeline, and then I could customize everything to my taste, because the language wasn't on point, the design wasn't on point for something on my website, pirateskills.com. So, and I created this entire website that you just saw in 1 hour. That was absolutely fascinating for me to experience, even though I I did that many times before, but for example, that image gallery, that blew me away. And I had just a few pointers back and forth how I wanted to optimize it. And then I had another hour to do some fancy stuff. I could do the Stripe checkout. I could have a nice thank you page and a good follow-up email when people sign up. And that took the other hour. But this is not even what we're going to cover today. It's just like, how do we get to this website thing? And this would have taken so many people. And all of this was just centrally done from the tool I prefer to use, which is Cursor at the moment. And I want to show you how you can do this. And you have this thing that you can now look at this page and say, I don't like this subtitle anymore. Hey, AI, can you present me 5 options that would be better? And then pick option C and bam, it's on your website. That's what we want to get to. Let's do that. But there is going to be a step-by-step process I want to take you through from now on. All right, let's vibe code your own website step by step with the tools I would actually recommend. We got a nice introduction checking this out with V0, but you later want to have the freedom to do this with whoever you like, on whichever tool, with whichever AI model, and move your data and own it. And I'm going to now show you the real way that kind of tricks you into actually learning the fundamentals of software development as a non-developer by building this website and learning the absolute basics. Now, step number 1 is setting up your AI editor. An editor is always a tool that used to be there to help you to write code or write text. Yeah, and code at the end of the day is nothing else than text that is being interpreted in a certain way. And the tool I recommend to you is called Cursor. Cursor has a couple of alternatives like OpenAI's Codex, Google's Anti-Gravity, or Claude Code. Whichever you use is going to be fine as long as they allow you to use the code and take it wherever you like. Yeah, that is the only real requirement. The rest is just gravy. So the first step is go to cursor.com. This is how it looks like when you go from a Mac. Here, there's a download of the app. Download this app on your machine, doesn't matter, Mac, Windows, Linux, the right thing will show up here. And install it on your machine. Then it will ask you to create an account. When you create an account, I would highly recommend that you do this with a login called GitHub. So if you haven't done that before, if you go to github.com, this is essentially the place where we will save and store all of your work in a minute. But for right now, I just need you to create a free account. And this is not about like using this GitHub Copilot. This is just the normal GitHub account that you can create. You probably have a sign up here. For me, it leads me to a dashboard. And this is where I see all of the places where I store my code, like everything in pirateskills.com, or what I'm going to show you in a second. So sign up for here. It's going to act very closely to like your Google or Microsoft login, but for everything developer related. So we are now on Cursor, we install it, and then it looks something like this. This is my Cursor, but I'm already logged in. If you're not logged in, it's going to ask you to set up an account. And you say, yes, please log in with GitHub. Always log in with GitHub if you can, because it will do some magic in the background, like connecting Cursor with GitHub and later connecting Cursor with a place where you want to store your data, which is going to be Vercel. So lots of tool, all logins, ideally through GitHub. There's a 2-week free trial generally, and then a $20 a month pro plan. If you're serious about this, I highly recommend going for the Pro plan. It allows you to choose the AI model. Otherwise, you have to choose like an automatic model. But let's get started here. At the end of the day, these code editors, these AI code editors, are nothing else but managing a folder on your computer. So opening a new project is what we want to do, is essentially just pointing them to a folder. I am here now on my computer. I have my Ben Sofyani, a folder that most people have. They have like a user account. And I would recommend that you create one folder, like call it vibe coding or dev, like I do, and put all of your projects in there. And every single coding project that you do goes in such a folder. So let's create a folder called my website. Now we just open that folder, and that is all it does. It just opens the folder. You can now interact with the files in this folder. And this is Cursor. This is all it is. You can see there's another one of those AI chatbots. You can hide this unnecessary sidebar. You can choose the AI model of your choice. By default, it's on auto. If you're on the free tier, you stay on auto. If you're on the paid tier, I would recommend at least using Composer 1.5 or any of like the big models that are out at the moment. Yeah, this is going to date this video, but at the moment, Claude Opus is my favorite. Let's take something that is not super expensive and relatively fast, like Sonnet for this demo. So now you can type everything you want in here, but what should you do? What is the correct setup? Let's go back to our article. We set up Cursor, we created an account. Ideally, we created already a GitHub account, signed up with that. And about the $20, that is roughly what pretty much all of the tools are going to cost you. It's going to be $20 a month base tier because AI is just relatively expensive, so they can't give it away all for free. And then the next stage is usually like $50 to $60 a month that you only need when you're getting really serious and building real SaaS products with this. But for a website, $20 a month is totally appropriate. You can cancel that at any time. If you feel you're done, pause it to whatever you like. Now, after each of those sections, there is a little checkbox here that you can use to mark off your progress. If you're not logged in, it's going to ask you to log in. This is free. This is just our Pirate Skills community. And then it leads you back here and you can make this check mark. It shows you at the end of the day the progress that you have made. And now I have set up my AI editor. I find this satisfying. And if you ever want to like go deeper into the topic, I always have linked our so-called Builder Codex, which shows you in great detail each step in the process of creating your entire SaaS. If you click here on the Builder Codex, it shows you the entire 6-level depth. And we are essentially doing like a light version of level 1 that is not focused on building a SaaS. This level 1 is focused on building your real first app that you want to build. And we're just going to keep it cool. Yeah, and stay focused on the path that is the most enjoyable to experience this AI magic. So we are done with number 1. Please don't just read it, just do it with me here. All right, let's go and continue with step 2. Now, step 2 is actually setting up your real project. You could just have the AI write anything in any language that you like. If you know, maybe you have heard of PHP or Python or JavaScript. But my recommendation is to be very opinionated on that. It turned out the best trick is to use the tools that the AI knows the best because it can write the code very solidly for that and it doesn't make too many mistakes. So I've prepared a prompt for you that you can just copy and put into Cursor and see what happens. Yeah, let me show you and explain a couple of things that could go wrong. So you don't have to worry about that if it happens. Again, AI is not deterministic and every machine is different. Windows is different than Mac, than Linux. And you might have never set up anything coding related on your machine. So it will take a couple of extra steps than what you see with me now. But let me explain what this prompt does. It essentially says, hey, I want to build a Next.js website. What is Next.js? Maybe you've heard of WordPress or Webflow, very popular website builders. This is a system like that, but it used to be just for developers. Now it's also for us vibe coders. And AI just loves this framework. It's great for SEO, great page speeds, and everything. And I've set up this prompt in a way that it's really holding your hand in installing everything and making it work on your machine. I'm going to press enter, and this is going to be pretty quick for me. But we shall see. Yeah, I could run into bugs, and I will debug them with you in real time. So often those AI editors create little to-do lists for themselves, and it helps you observe where they currently are in the work. And they are now happily coding for you. Yeah, on the right-hand side, we will later see the website showing up. But right now, just the basic system setup. Yeah, so that it works on your machine and that's on a solid framework that you can scale up with. And it's not just spaghetti code that a developer would later look at and say like, what happened here? We need to do this all again. No, we want to build something more scalable. And this is why we choose a framework we can rely on. If you are on a completely new machine, yeah, the AI is going to know like, oh, I need to install certain things, like, for example, Node. And it's not installed natively on all machines. So it will do that for you. And sometimes it's going to ask you, hey, Ben, can we do this? Can we do that? And what I need you to learn is to push back. It's totally normal. And you have to say, hey, AI, can you fix it for me? So when it complains, something is not installed, just say, install it for me. I don't have the permission for this and that. Fix that. Something is not working. You handle it. You fix the error. So push back, and that takes care of 99 out of 100 problems and bugs that you have. So let's see what happens so far. Now it's finished, and it opened up a browser inside of Cursor. It has an internal browser, which I find really nice. And here you just see, Next.js. To get started, edit the page.txt file. So we don't have to look at the code, but I want you to see a little bit behind the scene what is happening here. Now, on the top right, you see these little icons, yeah, and you can get to open this panel that shows you your folder that you created, my website. It now created a lot of folders and files within this folder. And it said like, oh, you can edit just this page, and it's hidden here under app folder, and you can open it and you could look at the code if you want to. One of the advantages, once you become more and more experienced, this will be helpful for you. This whole vibe coding journey is going to give you such a fundamentally better understanding of how the tech around you works. And you can always ask it, like, I don't understand why this happened or that happened. Could you please explain this to me as a non-developer? And it will be super patient, but you don't have to look at this. Yeah, but I need you to know that this is there. You can look at your files. We will later be able to look at any of the code changes here. But it set a lot of stuff for us up based on the prompt that I gave you. So let's keep it simple. Let's just look at it like we did with V0. So now the website is set up. All went well. If you see the screen, happy times. But to be honest, getting your machine to show this for the first time, that is the hardest thing. Fight through the pain, have the 27 chats and back and forth it takes so you see this screen. That is the final goal. And then you finish step 2. So let's go back to the article. Say, okay, we got it. We created the project. Now the basic tech is set up and we can continue here. Again, there is a lot of explanation in the Builder Codex, but I hope you don't need to go that deep yet. Let's go into step 3. In step 3 is the fun part. This is where we will actually build out your website. You can have yourself, for example, interviewed by the AI. I prepared this first prompt for you. You would just keep this conversation going, press enter, and the AI will ask you 5 to 6 questions about your website, its purpose, how you'd like it to be designed. You could add reference links like I did to the other Startplatz page, or maybe you have an old website, or you could add screenshots, presentations, whatever you like to guide the AI to build the right website for you. And you can do it this way, or you can say, I want to try this example with this salty wand that we did here, or you have something in your mind already that you want to build. You don't need to be interviewed, then just write this yourself. But I'll take the same prompt we used above for V0, and let's see what this creates and see the pros and cons of working with a more technical tool like Cursor compared to V0. It's definitely not all positives. So this is hustling now. This is going to be a lot faster. This is good, but the speed often depends on the AI model that you take. With Opus, it would be slower, but probably prettier. Yeah, every model has their own taste, but for example, the composer models, they don't, or the auto model, they don't do that pretty of a website. Or you would have to be pretty precise in saying what you want, and then it creates also pretty pages. But let's see what happens here. You can now see and observe much closer than before. What is this model doing? You can see every file that it's creating, and we can just open it if we want. We just click on here, and then we can see it. One important thing to learn, every green line is a new line. Every red line is something the AI deleted. I love this later in the project when I really want to see that the AI did the precise changes that I want and did not just mess up my code base and did just go crazy. I love this about code editors. I even write preferably now my articles and big resources like books in these tools because I can see everything that the AI edited in green and red lines. Which I find incredibly helpful. So now it's redesigning this entire page, and there we go. There we get to see the first version. You can see it looks different. It was the same prompt, a different model, different circumstances, and the shop looks different. And it chooses placeholder icons instead of real AI-generated images, because those tools, those AI editors, don't do AI image generation by default. So let's zoom out a little bit just so we see it more in the desktop view. And we would now have to tell the AI, hey, I like the placeholders, but I need you to generate those images for me. Let me show you that. All right, this looks really nice. Thank you very much. Could you please generate fitting images instead of the placeholder icons that you had? I want to have images for all of the products and for the shop story section. That would be really nice. Now you saw that I again did my voice to text. It doesn't need to be all precise. You can do spelling mistakes, but the important thing is that the AI generally gets what you wanted to say. And Cursor introduced a nice update in January this year where it now just generates the images for you. It says that it takes usually like up to 3 minutes. In my experience, it's more like a 60-second job. And there are many ways to to generate images, but this is now also a very convenient way to bring more life to your website. Yeah, you saw the version of the hackathon page without this nice image gallery of the people. It would have been harder to perceive how this hackathon actually feels like. So images are a key piece in here. And now the first image is ready. Yeah, this is going to be the Spellbound podcast compass. You'll be able to explicitly say what type of design you want. Do you want more comic design? Do you want to have realistic? Do you want to have this fantastical thing as we do? You can let it design a logo for you. And after it's finished with generating those images, it's going to automatically place them in here and update the page. Yeah, and this is happening on your machine. That is the fascinating thing. You are now hosting this website just for yourself. And it's a bit on a weird URL I want to explain to you. Whenever it's on your machine, it's not on a specific website like pirateskills.com, but it's on localhost : then a number. Yeah, so the default is localhost 3000, but that was already taken because I was vibe coding something else in parallel that already used that. So it just takes the next number. You can just copy this, open your browser, open a new tab, just put it in here and test it in Safari. Here you can see that I don't have it zoomed in right now and I have much more space. I can see it more realistically. I can right-click, inspect, which is a helpful tool for you to see like how does this look like in different aspect ratios, for example. Is this already mobile optimized? And we can see, yes, it is. And so this is really happening on your machine. And you don't need to be afraid that this is already in the hands of users, that somebody can see this crappy page yet. It's a very safe environment on your machine. So let's hope that it's finishing up here. This is nice. I hope this is going to take it for this shop story here. That's so cool. Captain Morvain. Yeah, down here it created a little form. Yeah, that would need some additional information where to send the email to. It's the easiest to just have it send it to another email address. Saving data like that would require a database. I would try to stay away from that in the beginning until you wrapped your mind around like building a basic website. You could have it build a navigation, as you can see here at the top, or change that. So if I scroll, I jump down immediately to this here. If you would prefer like a smoother scroll, that would also be absolutely possible. And we can mess around with step 3 as long as we like. That is also the fun part. And I highly recommend take some time here. Make the fonts look like you want to look. Make the words say what you want to say, and the colors express what you want to express on your website. And, finally, like running out of excuses why you shouldn't have a little personal website for yourself or for a little project that you had in mind. And you actually don't need to publish this. I will highly encourage you to publish this later, but you can just do this for fun. And since it only takes a couple of minutes to do this, and all of the technical setup that was maybe giving you a bit trouble in step 2, it's done. If you do this in a new folder, if you open up cursor again, like in a new window, and then you can just start another project, then the setup will take just as much time as you saw it here on my machine. Now it's updating the website. You can already see the cool product images being in here, and the shop story. This is also, and it's now completed. Maybe I want to do one more change. Let me show you how I would do a change. I don't like the contrast of the form fields here, and I want to show you how to do changes properly. So you just talk to it. In the contact section, the form has really bad contrast. I can't really differentiate the background from the form fields. I'll provide you a screenshot. I need you to improve that. So I take a screenshot. On a Mac, it's Command-Shift-4, and then you just take the screenshot, and then you can drag and drop it into the chat here, like this. Oh, it doesn't want to go in here. That's okay. We can just upload it here, go into my desktop folder, take the latest screenshot. That's the right one. And providing screenshots to the AI is like giving it eyes. It usually constructs its visual idea of the website based on the code, but it wouldn't have done this mistake with the low contrast if it actually knew how bad this would look. So now that it's actually saw it, you can just provide it this little help, and it will improve the probability that it will go in the direction you want. If you have seen the most amazing shop listing or anything that you can imagine, just take a screenshot, tell the AI that you want it to look like that, tweak it a little bit until it is yours, and voila, you have made a great change. You can totally go nuts here. Spend hours, a whole night, a couple of days. My recommendation, once you are done with a level like this, call it a day and say, hey, we are done. So let's go into the article, make our very satisfying check mark here, and see that. Done. Yay. On to number 4. Step number 4 is all about saving your work. And now it's truly on my machine. If my machine gets lost, then the website that I have built is gone. And I might want to work with other people on this website later. And the developer world has brought out a wonderful thing called Git, a system that you can use to take snapshots of every state of your current website code. Yeah, imagine it a little bit like the version history of like a Google Doc, where you can go back and see the version from an hour ago or from yesterday. And if you ever make a mistake, you can go back. And a place where all of these Git, so-called Git repositories, yeah, that is like your code base managed by this Git system, is called GitHub. This is the place where you can store and save all of your code. And ideally, you have already created a GitHub account. If you haven't already, now is 100% the time to do it. It's free, and it's the best way to log into any other developer tool that you will come across in your vibe coding journey. So I assume now you have set up your Git account and you're logged in. Let me just show you mine really quick. So this is GitHub. I already have it open here, and here's my home. Yeah, and these are my top repositories. I also have like a little profile where I can see all of the work I've done, and also see, which I really like, how often I've been working on my code. And you can see that over the last 12 months, this is always what you see, I've almost worked daily on my code. And I've gotten worse, especially here at Christmas time. I always get totally nuts. But this history doesn't go further back than the January of 2025. So I hope this shows you, even though I appear that I'm pretty far along on this journey, that I'm really not. I just started this stuff a year ago. And I'm going to show you how to learn what I learned in just a couple of weeks and months of going crazy with this. Yeah. And in GitHub, you have your code base. For example, this is Pirate Skills. Yeah. And everything that you see on pirateskills.com is in these files and folders in this code base. And everything revolves around these so-called repos. Yeah. Repositories. And you can always on GitHub create a new repo, and the AI can also help you do this for you if you want to do this manually. But we have an even easier way to do this because we have Cursor. We can ask the AI to do it for us. But be sure that you're logged in. Again, no new repo required. The AI will do it for us. So let's go back to our article and see what to do next. Now, this GitHub stuff is also partially a one-time thing, creating the account. Okay, that we have to actually do, but also installing Git on your machine and connecting with your GitHub account. If you have never done this before, this needs to be done differently on a different operating system. So I have a little switcher here, default is Mac, but if you Windows or Linux, please use the alternative prompt. You just copy it, the correct one is going to be copied. I need to use the Mac prompt. Now, this is gonna do something. I just demonstrate here. We can continue this conversation or start a new one. That doesn't matter right now. What does this do? This asks me, I ask it to set up Git on my Mac, and that this is the first time. It asks to install Git and the so-called GitHub CLI, that is essentially like a tool for the AI to use. And it's installing it a certain way. It makes sure that the AI, that Git knows your real name and your email. You can give a fake name, but give a first and last name and an email. And ideally, you give the same name and email address as the GitHub account you set up previously. This saves you from a couple of troubling points that I've seen a lot of people run into. So let's press enter. On my machine, it will recognize with this prompt, oh, Git is already installed. I don't have to do this, but I have to connect this machine, literally this MacBook that I'm on, to the GitHub account. So it's getting the permission to make changes in this GitHub repository for us. This has a wonderful effect. Sounds all complicated, but it does the following. You just say, hey, to these changes. And when you're happy, you say, can you please commit and push that to GitHub? And the AI does it for you. You don't have to think about what that means. And it will trigger a new release of your website. And 60 seconds later, what you had on your machine is in the hands of your users. And that is totally worth it. Yeah. So in this thing, it's going to ask you for the name and email address. Yeah. For me, it's always Ben Sofiani, ben@pirateskills.com. And it will make sure that Git is configured correctly here. Now it's trying to connect with GitHub here. Now you can see often that the AI is executing certain commands for you. And in the beginning, you haven't seen this a lot with me yet. It's going to ask me, do you want to allow this, allow that? I always choose allow. Yeah, in almost all cases, I choose allow. I even set it that it doesn't even ask me anymore. You have to find the way in the beginning, just press the allow button. But if not just one time, in general, I recommend saying that it's supposed to go on the allow list. Yeah, and then it doesn't ask you again in the future. Now it's logging in. And it's creating this one-time code. Yeah, I have to copy. And there's a URL here I'm supposed to open, but how the hell do I open this thing? I can't click on this here. Yeah, I can copy this. No, I can't. How do I access this? There is a trick. Yeah, you can always click on this icon here, open an external terminal. Then a terminal shows up here. You can always show and hide this in the top right corner. You will need this a lot in the future. Hidden, shown, and there is the terminal that just did something here. And actually, it's not the correct one. I'm a bit surprised here. So let's open a new terminal here with a plus. It's real-time debugging. Yeah, here it's normally opening the thing that you're supposed to. So let's do some copy pasting. Yes, it requires me to get this URL, open this in a browser. Let's open this in a new tab. Go here, Now it's asking me to activate the device. It's good if I'm logged in, I can just continue, otherwise I will have to log in. Now I need this code, that's this one. Go back to the browser, put this code in here, continue, yeah, and authorize your machine to now work on your behalf in GitHub. I'll explain this a little bit more in here. And as you saw, it didn't even work for me to open the terminal tab, but that's okay. You always see that there are workarounds that you can do. After a few moments, it will know, it has worked. You can now hide this scary terminal down there, and I hope I can trick you into not being scared of the terminal long term, but we'll get there. And now you just read what it says. Okay, we are fully set up. Create a repo on GitHub, clone this stuff, push this, all weird stuff. Yeah. We don't have to do this. We can always push back and say, please do it for us. But let's look into what the article says. Now we have done this one-time technical thing. Again, I'm going to tell you a lot of one-time technical things. I'm sorry, but it's going to be worth it at the end. Now you can just say, save my project to GitHub, initialize this project, put it on a new private repository, and it does it all for me. I don't have to set up anything in GitHub. So let's try it out. This prompt is any good. While this is working, I want to show you a little bit behind the scenes. Let's open the sidebar again. And we saw the file explorer here, but we can go to this section called source control. And there you can see a history of everything that has changed on the website. But this has never been published. Yeah, this is just on my machine. Even there, I have a clear history of all changes, and I could go back to this version or this version if I make a mistake. Now, what this now does is it creates on this GitHub website a new repository for me where all of my code is being stored, so it's protected and safe online. So even if I lose my machine, it's always stored there. And because it has become such an invaluable source of truth for the developer community, a lot of things kind of expect that you have your code online somewhere on a platform like GitHub. And here it is. This is my website, a new repository on my profile, and it has the exact files, almost all files that are on my machine, except for the ones that I don't want it to share, like secrets and passwords and things like that. And now this is ready for the next stage. I have now saved my work. So let me demonstrate how you will save it in the future. Let's do one more change. All right, man, that was really helpful. Let's work on the website a bit more. How about we make the hero section a bit more fancy? Not more technically complicated, but it needs to have a better design. I'm sure you know what I mean. So let's wait for the voice to text. Let's press enter. Let's do a change. And then I'll explain to you what your workflow always is going to be when you want to save those changes. Now, those little history points are called commits. Yeah, it's just part of the Git language. Yeah, a commit means I've committed the code exactly as it is at this point in time, and it's creating a history. Yeah, and it's usually thought about as a tree, yeah, where you have different branches, but we are just working on the main tree and doing our changes here, and you will learn a lot about that and how to work with other people in a safe way. So again, I sneaked you into learning some really key fundamentals here. And all of the changes of the files that the AI is going to do for us are going to show up here in the changes section. And we can later commit those changes and publish those changes to GitHub, which will then, again, trigger something that will let your new version of your website show up for your users in about 60 seconds later. But I want to show this very very concrete with you and explain everything. Here, the AI has decided that it needs to generate another image for like a cinematic background. I love it. Let's give it a second and go back to the article. So you can always come back here and see, where was I? I explained the first term, like saving means like committing. And then there's a second term called push. Commit and push. Pushing means please send this to GitHub. Later, you always say just something like, okay, review my changes and just commit and push my changes. And that will trigger a new version of your website. So now it created this amazing, stormy looking background image. Very much looking forward to that. Sadly, we didn't run into a bug to fix now. Oh, and now it created this EST 1683, 7 seats covered. Oh, this is awesome. It definitely increased the fanciness here. And you can see that it created like a new file here, this image, and it edited the page.txt. This is the main file in which the website has all of the Lego blocks integrated in. And now these are uncommitted changes. And let's let it finish up. All right, this looks very promising. Could you please commit and push all changes? This is what I say very, very often. All of these changes immediately now show up in my GitHub repository. All right, here's my website that I created, and it has this app folder, now this new public folder where it has all of the images it generated, for example. And I can see, this new background hero image is in here. Everything is working as we want. My work is now safe, and I can clearly mark off step 4 in here. This is a key step that you need to go live, which is the next and final important step. Step 5 is finally going live. This should be just a click away. So what's keeping us? Now, as with your WordPress website, you would have to decide, like, where do you want to host this website? And you would go to an awful place like Strato or 1&1 and pay it like $10 to host your website, and you would have an awful experience. The developer world has thankfully much, much, much better tools than this world. And one of my favorites called Vercel. This is how it looks like. It's one of the most developer-friendly and also therefore vibe coding friendly places to put any code on. The team behind this really has the opinion of that the whole experience is their problem and not ours to solve. So it makes it maximally easy. The pricing also has the advantage that the hobby tier has a very, very generous free tier, and you need probably 100,000 users before you hit this, depending on what your users are doing. But it's extremely generous. So sign up again with your GitHub account and choose the hobby tier, for personal projects for now. You can upgrade later, but even then it's $20 a month. But there will be no reason for you to upgrade for a long time. Okay, so you created this account, choose the hobby plan, and then you log in. Now, let me go to Vercel, how I would normally see it, and log in. Let's continue with GitHub. I have proper 2-factor authentication activated here. That's a good thing. And here, you probably see an empty screen, not like a gazillion projects, but all you need to do is like follow the first prompt which is telling you create a new project. Your website is your project in Vercel. If you click on project, now this is going to look what it's going to look like for you, very likely. And you logged in with GitHub, you will see all of your repos here. And now you choose the one that you've been working on, which is my website in this case. And all of this is already pretty set. You just click on deploy, and you wait for 30 to 60 seconds, and you can watch it build here. And it's now checking, is your code flawless? And if it's not flawless, it will tell you, and it will not push any faulty code to the server, which is a good protection. And it will tell us in detail what went wrong. And we can take that information back to Cursor and fix that there. So we can open this build log and see what is happening. We are lucky. We used a good AI model. There were no problems here. So this is just going to finish up and say like, hey, congratulations, your website is live. And just as that, your website is live, you can just click on it and it has a real website, mywebsite.com, then something weird, .vercel.app. This is what Vercel provides for you for free. Everything that is under Vercel.app. And you can share this website with anybody you like. This is not supposed to be there like for 100,000 people, but for now, this is what you can now share, what you can talk to your coworkers with, and you're live. You made it. Yeah, that's the big step. So let's go to the article. Yeah, and really recognize this. Yeah, you now got your website on the Vercel.app subdomain. You got the magic wand now. You did it. Yeah, I'm super proud of you. Do this now if you haven't already. And get this feeling that what you have just talked into this chat box, had on your machine, messed around with a couple of technical setups, is now live on the interwebs. Isn't that magic? And along the way, you learned so much about what it takes, yeah, to build a real SaaS app, yeah, that a fully functioning product. But for now, we just focused on getting the landing page for this product done, or for your personal website. And I found that this website now causes ideas in my mind. I might want to have a little quiz on here. Now you can code a quiz. You want to have a little calculator. You can code that now, and it all goes on your website. You never have to install weird plugins from WordPress that break. But your understanding needs to keep growing. Yeah, but you are now with this setup at this talk, commit, live stage. Let me show you that one more time, how this now works in its entirety. What else would we like to change about this? The cursed wares. The shop history, I like that. All right, let's change the footer to not show like a copyright, but say something like made with love as a heart emoji in Cologne. Okay, so this is a very minor change, and I expect it to go pretty fast. So now we can see here, it's now made with love in Cologne. Pretty nice. Now, could you improve the contrast? The font is too dark. This is a typical change where most developers, like half a year ago, would have said, oh, why don't you just go in the code and change the color? Yeah, even they have stopped going to the code. Okay, I now made this change. I see it on my machine on localhost, but this change is not yet on the website. So let's take a look. We go to our website, refresh, down here, no made with love. Yeah, so how do I get it over there? So this is just giving me here an explanation. All right, this looks good. Please commit and push these changes. If you already send a request before the other one is finished, Cursor will default to putting it into a queue, waiting until it's finished. If you want to force it to act on it now, you can just press send now. And now you can just override that change, and I can live with a darker color. That's fine. Now you can see that this change actually went away because we now have a new commit, but it's not on origin. Yeah, origin means it's in the cloud. Yeah, on GitHub. Still just on the main branch here on my machine. That terminology will take a while to pick up. Be patient with yourself. It's now going to push that. This would normally go super fast, but my internet is so slow. But I don't want to click this button. I want the AI to complete this in case there is still any issue. Now, what will happen? This will send it automatically to GitHub. We don't have to worry about GitHub anymore. But we should take a look at what happens on Vercel because you haven't seen that a lot yet. So let's go to the website of Vercel. Here's our new project. You can now go to the dashboard. And this is how you normally see your website. Yeah, you will later see how many visitors you have here. You can see a preview of your current state. You can find the domain, the URL again. You can see that you can also add a custom domain here. So if you want to really make this a good shop, maybe you call it, the saltywand.com. And you can very easily buy domains cheaply on Vercel, and they're being automatically configured for you. If you usually get any other updates, like, hey, do you want to add web analytics or speed insights, you can ignore all of that. This is their way to upsell you over time. So the most important tab I regularly look into in case something goes wrong is deployments. This is essentially what is being triggered once your code has been saved to GitHub. Yeah, and this is what causes this magic flow. I say something that is getting committed and pushed to GitHub, and that will trigger the new deployment on Vercel. In this deployments tab, and there you can see that every new commit that is being pushed to GitHub is triggering a new version of your website. And there it is. And this is also a better URL that you're getting, I think, like after that deployment went through once. And that is going to stick around until you put it to a custom domain. And if you open that and you scroll down, there you can see that now there is a Made with Love in Cologne in a bit of a lighter color. And that is how you go from talking to your website in Cursor here to just saying save and commit this. Behind the scenes, it goes to GitHub, and then boom, it's auto-deployed on Vercel. And you have the magic wand now. You can now talk to your website and do it. I hope that gets you excited. So let's go back to the article. Step 5 is now officially done. So what might be left? My recommendation, show this to your friends. Join the Pirate Skills vibe coding community. Ask for feedback and go deeper. Yeah, talk to real people about it. Get feedback. Follow your curiosity, what you can do with this. And this is the best way how to learn it. Also, this entire thing is pretty awesome. To get you started with the Builder Codex, completely free resources, how to go from what you know now to building your first SaaS app. Lots of steps will be familiar. A lot of things going to be much easier because you do it the second time and you survived so far. And I think that is worth showing off to your friends and the community. So you're done with that. Congratulations. Now, you might be asking, damn, Ben, you tricked me. We took potions class and we ended up getting Snape and now he's teaching us chemistry. I just wanted to mix a love potion. I know. Why didn't we just go with the easy tool? The first one that I showed. The reason is, if you ever want to collaborate with other people, then they're going to be stuck to whichever tool you use and they might not be willing to do that, especially if they are a more experienced developer. Then those tools don't compound. You're starting to just see the very surface of a very, very deep rabbit hole. And those tools you start to learn, Cursor, GitHub, Vercel, then maybe a database, a payment provider, they all start to compound and make you more and more powerful. You will not have that experience to that degree, in those normal chat builders. And you own everything. It's on your machine. It's protected there. then you can share it with the world. And if you want to take it anywhere else, host it anywhere else, you are free to do that. No one company has you under control. And as you might have realized, this was an introduction to AI in general and how to build real software with it that can do real work for you and other people. So this website is essentially just still an example project, a good training exercise that you can now use to really build your own vibe coding stack and go deeper and deeper and deeper. That is the real trick behind this. So at the bottom, you will now see if you have done all of these steps. And if you missed something, you didn't go live yet, then you can check this off later after you have done and be proud that you shipped this complete thing and you have your first live vibe-coded website. Ain't that insane? Isn't that crazy? And if you enjoy talking about this stuff like I do, you can go deeper. Yeah, we got the Builder Lab every month. It's an online event where you join other crazy ones and we show what's currently possible. Yeah, and you can participate. Maybe at some point, I really would love to show off your project. Yeah, I'm always curious to see what people are building. Or you have built now something, you ask yourself, how do I get traffic? How do I get customers? Join the Builder Lab. Those two formats are free, happening once a month, completely online. And then we got 2 programs that take you along. One of my evil plans with AI for Muggles is for you to get curious and to say, okay, website is nice. I want to build an entire SaaS, but I do not dare yet to do this all on my own, which you can absolutely do with the Builder Codex for free. But this is a 6-week program where we do this with you. This starts once a quarter, 6 weeks of growing, 6 weeks of building. Check them out. Use the discount code VIBE250 to get a €250 discount on them. And just see if it's something for you. And if you are working for an NGO or a student or having trouble at the moment, you can always apply for the scholarship and I'll say you pay what you want link. Promised. Yeah. I hope you love this and I'm curious to see what you have. So don't forget to share it with me here in the WhatsApp group. Yeah. Show it off. Show what you did. I'm super proud of you and have fun with your websites. Goodbye.